Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views on myself, Salailo Makwidiri. And we're going to be switching gears now to a very, very important topic. We'll be discussing the very, very important the Global Sumut Flotilla, which has officially set sail from Tunisia's northern port of Bizet, carrying activists, humanitarians, and elected officials from more than 40 countries. Their mission is bold and it's a very, very important one to break Israel's crippling blockade on Gaza and to deliver much, much needed aid to the desperate people of Gaza. And among the prominent voices that are on board is Dr. Zaheera Soomar. She's a South African-born social impact and humanitarian leader, and she's someone that's very, very, vocal when it comes to Palestinian solidarity. She has over 20 years of international experience in education, social development, and refugee empowerment. And she joins us now within the flotilla in itself. She said they're just off the coast of Tunisia, and we'll be having a really, really wonderful conversation with her about what many are calling and are considering one of the most determined challenges yet to Israel's siege on Gaza. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really excited to be chatting to you while you are in international waters. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me and good to be here.
No, the pleasure is all ours. I think we can kickstart the conversation with a bit of context. If you can take us, through, on board currently, describe the atmosphere as the flotilla finally set sail from Tunisia after the delays and some unpalatable events, the attacks that we saw some few weeks ago. I think it was last week. Currently, how's everyone feeling? You personally, how are you feeling? Knowing that the mission has now started, the journey to Gaza is officially underway.
Yeah, it's been an interesting past 2 weeks. Initially when I left to go to Tunisia, I left on the 30th of August with the intention of getting on the flotilla on the 4th or the 5th of September, and it's 10 days later now that we're actually getting on the flotilla, and it's for a number of different reasons. And honestly, various different reasons. And at one point, I was even a bit, concerned that we might not even set sail, or that
Mm,
I might not set sail or get to join the flotilla. And again, it's not about me, but um, there's this inherent desire and need to want to participate and want to contribute and want to be part of this mission for the people of Gaza. And so today, I can't tell you that. Um, I can't even explain to you what's happened in the past 48 hours. 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago, I didn't even know I was going to be on this boat and setting
mm,
sail. There's just been so many changes. And so even up until the very last minute when I got on the boat and, left for international waters, it was only at that point when I truly allowed myself to feel accepting that I'm finally on this mission. I'm actually on a boat and I set sail. And there's a moment, it was mixed feelings. I'm even
mm,
getting emotional thinking about it, but truly mixed feelings of I had a family member that I said goodbye to, or see you soon to. At the same time, I felt immense responsibility, and at the same time, I felt immense gratitude and shukr for getting to this moment and actually getting on the boat and kind of setting sail. It's been mixed feelings, but we have an amazing team on this boat. We are all so very happy to be together. We are getting along, and we most of us on this boat are Muslims, and so we all united in the aspect that we're doing this for the sake of Allah, for our ummah. So yeah, very mixed feelings, but alhamdulillah,
mm.
shukr.
No, most definitely. I know you said, this is not about you. There's a greater cause to it, which is the cause of the people of Palestine and the people of Gaza at this current moment. But ultimately, you're the one that had to make the decision to partake in this very, very important and historic voyage. Would it be possible to point at a moment where it just dawned on you that you have to do something of this nature, that maybe the little actions that we try and do here at home were to an extent not enough. There was a little bit extra that you could do, and ultimately you decided that maybe being part of the Global Sumud Flotilla was the way to go about it. Is there a specific moment, a specific, I don't know, just a moment that just comes to you that you're like, enough is enough, I have to do something about it?
I mean, truly, I've been feeling enough is enough for a really long time. Some of the some of the activism and some of the protests and some of the actions that I've been doing over the past 18 months, many people have said have been risky and maybe a bit bold, and even for a female. So I've been trying to do the things that are not just your standard just boycott or sharing on Instagram or social media or posts and things like that. I've really tried to put myself out there and even risk. I mean, I risked my job and I've had to move countries for it as well. So it's not to say that I haven't taken risks, but when this came about last year, when the flotilla was being discussed, I had an interest in joining the flotilla, the one that was actually leading from Turkey. And as we know, that didn't take place.
Mm,
But when this one came about, I mean, I got called and asked if I was interested, and I said yes. And when I got the call about a week before we had to leave, and I was told we'd like you to join us, even at that moment, there was a sentiment of should I not? I really felt honourable that I was even asked, but there was an element of me that felt I have young kids, and do I really go and do this and put myself in this at this kind of risk? Because I have an amana and a responsibility to my kids as well. I'm
mm,
their mother, and that does come first, right? But and so I actually just sat with the decision. I didn't actually make a decision. I actually just sat with it. I didn't even. As the days went by, I think it was like after 3 days, I kept having the sense and this feeling of like you kind of need to go and do something. This is a calling. Allah has put this in your path. There was that aspect, and then there's this consistent aspect that I felt over the past 18 months, which is I just feel a loss of appetite to enjoy anything at this point in time. When I look at food and I eat food, it's really hard
mm,
to enjoy it. When you're out with your family, it feels guilty and it feels hard to even try and have fun or try to be happy or try to enjoy it. So there's this overriding feeling that's always been there. And so
mm,
I've been struggling with that feeling for the past 18 months. I think the dual coupling of that feeling that's always been there of like I just can't enjoy things in life while Palestinians are suffering, especially in Gaza. And in those 3 days after I got notified, I really felt that Allah is maybe putting me in this path for a reason, and maybe I should kind of take the lead of this call. And so it was kind of just that, to be honest.
mm, mm. No, I think you put it so eloquently there. I I don't like talking about this aspect because I think sometimes it takes away from the true intention of this voyage, and what you guys are trying to achieve. But it's there and we should be discussing it. I think we've all heard and seen images of those two drone strikes on two of the vessels just a few days ago. How concerned are the participants? How concerned are you about your safety? And hearing sentiments like the one from Israel's Minister of Defense, Ben Gavir, saying everyone that is part of this flotilla needs to be labeled as a terrorist and they should be dealt with as much force as possible. In your mind, how do you perceive such sentiments, especially knowing the kind of regime that we are dealing with and some of the atrocities, ugly humanitarian atrocities that they've inflicted against the people of Gaza, and knowing that we're going directly to that danger and to the people that just go about things with so much impunity?
Yeah. We've been talking about this quite a bit with other delegates throughout the past 2 weeks, and we've done a lot of safety training. The training team, alhamdulillah, has been amazing. And I think they've done a lot in terms of trying to prep us as best as they possibly can. I mean, there's only so much you can prepare a person for what they're about to encounter, which is also the unknown, right? So we know of potential scenarios based on history of what might happen, and they've prepared us for that. But this is an unprecedented move, right? This is the biggest flotilla or set of flotillas that have ever taken place, and so it might be an unprecedented response as well. I guess there's an element of, you've got to have the wakfu, I think, to do this, but there's an element of just acceptance that Allah will be there, and whatever happens, it kind of happens, and that the people of Palestine go through far, far, far more worse on a daily basis, right? And significantly more fear. Um, I mean, I don't know what we're going to face, but whatever it is, I feel I have sumud and I have strong mind and strong body, and that Allah will be with me and I'll get through it.
Mm,
Ben Havir can come with his statements, and that doesn't surprise us, calling us terrorists. I mean, a citizen trying to do what their government should do on a non-violent mission in international waters, taking baby formula to babies in Gaza that are starving by a man-made famine. If that's the definition of a terrorist, then you know
mm,
that's what I'm doing. I am taking baby formula to starving babies in a man-made famine in Gaza for 2 years. Call me what you want to call me. And it was funny because when all the participants were together and we were talking about this, and we talk about this so calmly, we would often say to ourselves, we must be insane by the mere fact that we can talk about this so calmly. And then we would say to ourselves, it's not that we're insane, it's that the situation is insane and we just cannot stand by any longer, because if you do, then you insane.
mm, mm. No, most definitely. I want you to take us back to, that moment where you had to have a conversation with your kids. I mean, you mentioned them in the beginning of the interview, and the responsibility that you still have towards them. Take us
Yeah,
through and back to that moment where you had to tell them that, you know what, I'm going to go on this trip. It has, so many dangers that have been well documented. I think it was the Mavi Mavmar, I think back in 2010, where people lost their
yeah,
lives. How did that conversation go, and how did your kids receive the news, and your family?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think my mom and my husband and my kids, I don't think any of them were hugely surprised. They know what type of person I am. Um, both my sister and I are very kind of active in the movement, and we're very active in justice and ethics. And so, I don't think they are surprised. I don't think they were entirely surprised. I think my husband and my mom fear that, for what will happen to me or what could potentially happen to me. I have a son, and he's in university. And when I told him that I when I told my kids, I explained to them what I want to do and what it's about, and then I asked them permission. Um, and I asked my mom and my husband permission as well. I said to them, my responsibility is with all of you, and if I ask permission, and if any of you genuinely feel strongly enough to say that we don't want you to go, I won't go, right? Because my responsibility really is to you. And so when I had the conversation with my kids, it was a conversation where I did ask their permission from them. And I said to my son, I said to him, I want to go on the flotilla. I've got a spot. Um, I know it's dangerous, but how do you feel? And his response to me was, if I could go, I'd go. And if I were you, I'd go. So go. Um,
Mm,
and so that made me very proud. My daughters are a little bit younger. And so my youngest one, she doesn't quite understand what it potentially means or the potential ramifications. She's always seen me go to protests and get involved, and she's always been very proud of me for being a pro-Palestinian activist. So for her, I think she just thinks mommy's going to go do her thing. But my youngest one, I don't think she quite grasps the nature of it. Then my middle daughter, when I asked her, I said to her, I asked her, I spoke to her, but a couple of days ago I messaged her again while I was in Tunis, and I said, I just want to check in with you. Are you okay about what I'm doing? And she said, why are you asking? And I said, I need your permission, you know. And one of the things she said to me, she said, I'm fine with you going, just don't die. And so it's a hard thing to deal with, but it's like
Yeah.
I can't guarantee anything, right? I mean, my life is in Allah's hands, but my kids, alhamdulillah, have been very supportive.
Hmm, hmm. No, I think that's beautiful. Very, very beautiful to note. Let's talk about the South African aspect of it. You know, being from a country like ours that has the history that we have. Is there an extra sense of responsibility? You know, being a South African, and I know it's so multifaceted. You know, there's an element of being a Muslim and the responsibility that you have on that front, and just being a general human being. You know, doesn't matter what tag you have. That what we're seeing in Gaza right now is gross, it's disgusting, and we
Yeah,
can't let it continue without doing anything. And there's a South African element to it, and the responsibility that our country has carried when it comes to advocating for the rights of people of Palestine and the shared history that we have with them. Is that an extra push, an extra motivation for you amongst the other things that put you in the position that you're in today?
absolutely, 100%. I think South Africans are born with a level of activism blood. We know the struggle. We know what it takes to get over the struggle. And honestly, our apartheid was nothing compared to what Palestine is going through. Um, but absolutely, I think even having Mandla on the ground with us in Tunis, it was just I can't explain it to you, but it was South Africans were very well received. So many people were so respectful of us for the stand that, for what we've gone through in history, but not only that, for the stand that we took with the ICJ and kind of taking Israel to court. Just having that guts, I think that it gives us credibility. And it's amazing to see because I always tell people, there's been so many people that are shameful of saying they're South African, but it's such a proud thing to say. I'm so proud to say I'm South African. I walk into a room. By the way, I have a dual nationality, um, and I had a choice of which country I want to represent in this mission. And my passport was stronger on my other nationality, but I chose to stand as a South African, and I know it might have harder ramifications for me, but I'm proudly South African, and I'm proudly South African on this mission. And of course, it carries a sense of responsibility and a sense of credibility, a sense of pride that comes with it. So, um, yeah, of course, it makes a difference.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I want to talk about another element because the flotilla. Every time it's announced that there's going to be another one, it always makes the news. You know, on social media, you'll never miss it. You guys post some wonderful content. Also, I've seen your videos. Um, when you check the comments sometimes, obviously the content will reach the other side. You'll have the Zionists on the comment section,
Absolutely.
saying nonsensical things. And one that I've been seeing most common is the fact that, this is just, you know, you guys wanting to be celebrities, and this is just keyboard warrior like kind of, endeavor. Whatever aid that you have on the voyage won't be enough for 2 million people in Gaza that have been starving for so long. You guys just want to trend and make the news and make it up about yourself. How do you respond to that? How do you respond to people that say this is Instagram, activism and not
Yeah.
really, a lived experience that could change the lives of the people of Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, look, my first response would be come and join me on the boat,
True.
because and come and join me on the mission, because unless you're actually willing to step into this person's shoes, you actually don't know what you're talking about, right? Most of us that were there in the past 2 weeks in Tunis, most of us have had a loss of income. Some of us have lost our jobs. I've lost my job for the second time because I chose to go on this flotilla, right? Many of us have spent money out of our savings. to be there to do this. So not just do we have a lot of income, but we're actually losing money by being because we're self-funding ourselves, right? And you are on a boat with many more people than what you should be from a capacity perspective. There's absolutely zero luxury. You are not on a holiday trip. You are working. You are documenting what you're seeing. You are doing night watch. You are preparing for what might be, which could be extremely terrible. You're subjecting yourself to harsh conditions and potentially harsh ramifications. Yes, we post on social media, and it's not to get the likes and follows, but it's to create awareness, right? So
mm,
anybody who thinks that this is a nice selfie yacht or that this is an Instagrammable moment, come and join me. Come and join me. Come and join me, and you can get your likes and follows. But I can tell you, it is extremely hard. I can tell you, after spending 2 weeks in the ground in Tunis, before I even put my foot on a boat, I can tell you the amount of hardship that people went through, the amount of exhaustion, the amount of preparation, the amount of things that needed to be done. And it was hard. Some people had mental breakdowns because it was so hard. It's not a joyous ride. This is not a holiday. Even while we were on the ground, this is really, really, really tough, right? I am risking
mm.
my life, and as a mother, I'm walking away from my children. I mean, I ask all of you who think that this is a selfie yacht and for social media, do you genuinely think, as a mother of three, I would leave my children and risk my life for some likes and follows? Really?
Mm,
It's
mm,
they can say what they want, but until they actually come and sit in my shoes, they don't know.
mm. No, most definitely, and I like the call that you're making. That come if you think it's so easy and it's so glamorous, and I can tell you,
Come and join us.
none of them would make the trip or even attempt to. Finally, Doc, before I
Exactly.
let you go, if the flotilla succeeds, and God willingly it does, or it gets stopped along the way, what do you hope this mission will achieve in the long run for Palestine and for global solidarity movements? And what message would you like to share as you embark deeper and deeper into international waters, to the people of Palestine and to South Africans that are waiting for you back home?
Yeah, I mean, I think a number of things are critical to achieve here. One is really to just break the illegal siege and establish a humanitarian corridor. There's a sense of urgency of what's taking place in Gaza right now with the bombings, especially in Gaza City, around the man-made famine and the starvation. Really, we need to get aid in, and I do understand it's around the amount of aid we're taking is not substantial for the whole of Gaza. That's not the point. That isn't the aim, and that's not the point. The point is not to have enough aid come through the boats that are going to see to Gaza for whatever they've endured in the past 2 years and whatever they might endure. That's not the aim. The aim is to break that illegal siege and establish a humanitarian corridor. And once a humanitarian corridor is established, that can serve the people of Gaza, right? So that's the first thing that needs to be achieved. The second is that it's going to create a whole lot of awareness, right? We right now we are still facing people who are still ignorant and brainwashed around what the Zionist entity is doing. I still can't understand after 2 years of a genocide how you can stand by the things that Israel and Zionism is standing for and saying at this point you either for a genocide or you're against a genocide. There's no in betweener and there's no not taking sides. You are taking sides. And so what this does is it does create awareness and it does show really the truth of what truly is happening and is behind it, who's the oppressive forces, um, and us civilians doing something good, and even what we might face, it creates and sheds light on the situation, and that changes hearts and minds. And thirdly, it's political pressure, right? Our governments are not doing enough, and yes, even South Africa government. While we took Israel to the ICJ, we are not doing enough, right? We are still
Mm,
supplying coal to Israel. We still have not cut ties with Israel completely. There's still more that our country needs to do. We are not far from finished in terms of what we need to do. And South Africa is one of the countries that sets an example. Think about all the other countries that are far from even setting an example. So this move is also just to put pressure on the government that until you do your job, we're going to do this type of insane things, and we're going to
mm.
continue risking our lives because you're not doing your job.
No, most definitely, Doc. Thank you so much. We really commend, the endeavor that you guys have took, the initiative that you took. I think this is a historic, important voyage. And wish you all the best. Godspeed.
Thank you. Please
And we'll
keep me in your
continue
du'as.
trying.
Jazakallah.
I mean, and we'll try continue, keeping in touch. We know people of color, we don't do well with large bodies of water. So hopefully you're managing the seasickness well.
Please watch me. I'm sitting here and I've just taken a couple of seasickness tablets just to manage myself as well. So
No, definitely keep at it. I think it's an important cause, and Jazakallah so much. Wishing you all the best.
Jazakallah for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Well, there you go. That was Dr. Zaheera Soomar speaking to us from the Global Summit Flotilla. They're currently in international waters, sailing from the coast of Tunisia toward Gaza, carrying food, carrying aid, and above all, I think very, very important, a message of defiance against injustice. The flotilla has become, I think at this point we can all agree, a floating symbol of resilience and global solidarity. And as the world continues to watch, the question remains, how will they be treated once they encounter the IDF, the genocidal apartheid regime that is currently slaughtering innocent men and women and children in Gaza? How will they be treated? Will the humanitarian nation be allowed to reach Gaza's besieged shores? We don't know, but we can only dream at this point. We can only hope, and we can only rally behind them and continue following them and making sure that we give them as much attention, as much eyes and ears. We share their stories because this is what it's all about at the end of the day. It's about global solidarity, and the only way to that the voices of the people of Gaza reaches millions across the world, so that we all put pressures on our various governments to do something about it, is through initiatives like this. So, like, share, spread the word. Let's make sure that the flotilla trends, and with that, we are also keeping them safe in a lot of ways. When we track their movements, when we have these kinds of interviews with the people that are in the flotilla itself, we are putting cameras on them. We are speaking to them in real time while they're in international waters and while they make it closer and closer to Gaza. And this, we hope that it'll make it slightly more difficult for the IDF to attack them, for them to send those drones, because they would know that the whole world is watching. So we need to interact with these videos as much as we can, so that they trend, talk to them, post them, share whatever that they've posted, and try to talk to them in real time. This is what we'll try and continue doing here on Salam Media, because it's a very, very important cause. It's a very, very important voyage. It's a historic one, and we hope that it yields some kind of results. And if it doesn't, one thing about the people from the global flotilla is they'll keep going. There'll be other ones, other ones, and we're going to be following all of them and giving you the latest from this particular one, the Sumud Flotilla. You're listening to News and Views right here on Salam Media with myself, Salalo Makwidiri. Going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with you after this.